Hi, welcome back to 1992 and my corner of the internet, which in 1992 would be coming at you in 56 kbps in all of its glory. Welcome back to the World Wrestling Federation, and we're on the road to the Royal Rumble. Here we go. We're going to have WWF Superstars tonight, but a couple of things just to mention before. As we mentioned last time, Bret Hart got injured. He broke his nose. He apparently has the healing capability of the gods because he is already fully fit again. And one other thing is I've done a few extra relationships. So I have a talent trading agreement with All Japan Pro Wrestling now, CMLL, New Japan, and the UWA. But with the UWA, it's not a talent trading agreement. We will accept workers on excursion from the UWA. I don't know if that's going to make any difference, but I like to have a few interesting things happen in my game, and maybe we'll get somebody thrown over to decide what's going to happen. We'll get someone thrown over, and I've got to decide what I'm going to do with that person. Not much else to write home about right now. But what I am thinking of doing at some point is doing an alliance, because I can't join the Mexican one, I can't join the World Wrestling Council, and we can join the NWA, but WCW argue against it. So I'm thinking about doing an alliance at some point. But before then, we have the last Superstars show before the Royal Rumble. Let's just take a look at our storylines and how they're progressing. Bob Backlund versus Shane Douglas currently has a heat of 60. The Natural Disasters versus the Rock and Roll Express has a heat of 56. The New Foundation versus the Beverleys has a heat of 62. Bret Hart and Rick Martel a heat of 53. Hogan Flair has a heat of 67. So I really think I need to do another match like this here, Hogan and Janelli versus Flair and the Berserker. I think I need to do a match like that. These matches here, they're not doing what I need them to do. The Legion of Doom versus Money Incorporated has a heat of 64. The lower card Craziness has a heat of 33. I've got a plan for that today. The mid-card Proving Ground has a heat of 60, Rockers Implosion 55, and Savage vs. The Undertaker has a heat of 71. So, let's find out what we're going to do today when we get to WWF Superstars, the go-home show for the Royal Rumble. So I will see you there in just a moment. Welcome back to WWF Superstars. This is, as I said, the go-home show before we get to the Royal Rumble. Got a couple of pre-show matches to begin with. Roddy Piper being the Big Boss Man and Crush in a triple threat match. Piper submitted Crush with the sleeper. I really do need to find something to use these guys with. I think I have too many people on my roster right now. So maybe I'll use some of these guys in the future. The other match, the Rock and Roll Express defeat Eddie Guerrero and Felino when Ricky Morton pinned Felino with a double drop kick. As I said, I have brought in the CMLL talent trading thing. Felino, one of the guys I brought in, and honestly, I actually think that getting a couple of luchadors like Eddie and Felino against Rock and Roll would be awesome. I don't know much about Felino, but I like the mask. That's why I chose him. But also he was an easy trade. But let's get on with the main show. And the main show starts with the Legion of Doom and the Bushwhackers against Hercules, Barry Horowitz, and Money Incorporated. Hercules submitted Luke with a full Nelson, and the heels go over, heading into the Royal Rumble match. Great momentum for Money Incorporated. It's a 63 rated match, which also means that the lower card Craziness storyline gains some heat, and the Money Incorporated Legion of Doom storyline also advances. Really good way just to advance a lot of things in one go, and I actually really quite like that match. 63 rated. It's a good way to open up Superstars and build some hype We then get an angle where the Mountie and the British Bulldog are having a brawl backstage, and the Mountie is telling the Bulldog, you need to stop just talking a load of garbage, and you need to come and you need to wrestle like a real man and fight me. And the Bulldog, they get separated, and the Bulldog says, I'll see you tonight. I'll take a bite out of you later tonight. Moving on, Sean Mooney then finds Hulk Hogan, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and the Texas Tornado, who are teaming up tonight in the main event. And they're going to team up in a 6-man tag team match, heading towards the Royal Rumble. And of course, they talk about they're going to beat their rivals tonight. They're going to have a great main event. Adam Bomb then makes his debut, finally, and defeats Bob Bradley. A 14 rated match, not too good, and his loose cannon gimmick is adequate. It's not the best thing in the world. The Nasty Boys then hype a promo about Blanchard and Roma. They challenge Tully Blanchard and Paul Roma to a match at the Royal Rumble, and we're going to turn them. They're going to turn babyface. Complete success. Fantastic. And now the Nasty Boys are fully Team Hogan, and we have them involved now in this feud. Then we have the new foundation, Owen and Jim, defeating the Orient Express, Kato and Tanaka. And of course, Bo Beverly tries to intervene, but Owen still gets the win. He pushes out the way, jumps out the way, because of course he does. He's Owen Hart. You don't mess with the Rocket. And it's not good. It loses some heat on this storyline, but it does help out. It helps out an awful lot. And we have an awesome promo coming up right now when Tanaka and Minoru Suzuki, that's right, I got Minoru Suzuki, attack Kato in the ring and leave him down and out. Essentially, Tanaka tells Kato, you're no Orient Express, you are not what I say, you're not a part of me, you're not my family, you don't know what it's like to come where I come from. And he brings in Minoru Suzuki, who's going to team with Tanaka to make the new Orient Express. And of course this means Kato will turn babyface, and we're going to split the team. Kato, actually, Paul Diamond becomes Max Moon, and I think Max Moon is a funny old gimmick. I like it better than Kato, so I'm going to write Kato off TV for a little while. Going to give him some time off, and then Max Moon will come in. That's the plan. Probably after WrestleMania. We then have a segment where we say, well, who is Sid talking to? You know, you can hear a voice in the background, Sid being told, you know, nobody's paying attention to you. Everybody else is looking at all these new stars that are coming in and getting in the way. It's not fair on you, Sid. It's not right. So we get to the tag team match that comes up next. It's Sid Justice teaming with Bob Backlund against Shane Douglas and Kevin Sullivan. And of course, it was Shane Douglas who was talking to Sid. And then Sid turns on Bob Backlund and becomes Shane Douglas's right-hand man. Shane Douglas's bodyguard, if you will. So again, another turn. It's a very... another success. Brilliant. Very chaotic, WCW-esque, I suppose. Swerves, bro, all over the place. But Sid Justice turns on Bob Backlund, and now he's going to be aligned with Shane Douglas as we move forward. He'll just manage Shane Douglas, I'm sure we can use him that way. The model Rick Martel has an interview, and he taunts Bret Hart. He goes, you know, everybody knows that an Intercontinental title would look good around the waist of a real model, of a real man, like the model Rick Martel. And of course he'll go and he'll insult Bret's family, he'll insult Bret's heritage. You know, we're going to make it really personal because of course at the Royal Rumble we will have the model Rick Martel versus the Hitman for the Intercontinental title. Moving then forward, we have Marty Jannetty and the model Rick Martel. They draw because everybody runs in. This is schmoz finish. Bret Hart runs in, he beats up Rick Martel, and of course at that point Shawn Michaels takes the opportunity to sneak in from the back door and super kick Marty Jannetty before we even get to that stage. So there we go. It's a draw. It's a no contest. And there we go. Moving forward, we have the British Bulldog finally takes a bite, and he beats the Mountie in 12 minutes 23 in a 62 rated match. So far, so good. I'm quite happy with this. We then get Mr. Fuji, who is now with Yokozuna, and he hypes up Yokozuna, who is going to help demolish the competition in the WWF, and he's going to do it now against the Superfly Jimmy Snuka. I have no use for Jimmy Snuka. I'm not going to keep him for forever, so I'm just going to use him to put other people over for a little while, I think. And that starts tonight when Yokozuna beats Jimmy Snuka in 5 minutes 51 with a banzai drop. We then have the Natural Disasters defeating Nikolai Volkov and Jim Powers. Earthquake pins Jim Powers with an Earthquake Splash. 54 rated match, but after the match you can hear them taunting the Rock and Roll. Telling the Rock and Roll they're going to beat them, they're going to demolish them, they're going to have an earthquake, and it's going to be a disaster. Or something like that. That was how corny it was back then, of course. And then we have the other trio. Ric Flair, Jake Roberts, Repo Man. They're going to be in the main event tonight. They are the opposition team. And then we have our main event match. An 80 rated match. Let's go. Ric Flair, Jake Roberts and Repo Man beating Hogan, Savage and Tornado when Flair beats Tornado. Right there. That's what we need. That is a great main event for the evening. And it gained its popularity in 15 regions. We lost popularity in 9 regions, but I'm okay with it. I think that was a good show. I was happy with that show, and so let's leave it there for the time being. And I will see you at the Royal Rumble, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Royal Rumble 1992. And here's our pre-show match. We have Kato, El Matador and Crush against General Adnan and the New Orient Express. General Adnan is leaving at the end of this show. This is his last show. I haven't used him at all, so I've given him a match, but honestly he was on the losing end. Crush pinned Minoru Suzuki, and that was that. And that was the pre-show match. But now let's get on with the main show, and we start with Bob Backlund versus Shane Douglas in a 70 rated match. Bob Backlund finally gets one up on Shane Douglas, but none of these stories are finishing just yet. The story continues. Bob Backlund and Shane Douglas will keep feuding, and Bob Backlund currently just gets that one up. We then find Hercules and Skinner beating the tar out of Bushwhacker Luke, because obviously we've got the 6-man tag match coming up. We have Hercules, Skinner and Barry Horowitz versus Virgil and the Bushwhackers, but now Luke, he can't compete. Who will they choose to team with them? Who will they find? None other than Roddy Piper. And of course he has history with Virgil, and he's a bit loco, like the Bushwhackers are a little loco. So Virgil, Butch and Piper beat Skinner, Hercules and Horowitz when Piper submits Horowitz. Now honestly, it's on a pay-per-view match. I didn't want to just put all 6 lower card guys in one show, because it wouldn't have got much heat. So adding Piper to it just gives it a little bit of oomph in there. And of course Virgil has that history. So 59 rated match. That helps the storyline as well, the lower card craziness storyline. So I'm actually quite happy about how that's worked out. Moving on, we get the Macho Man cutting a promo. He's going to wrestle the Undertaker later tonight. It's about beat the Undertaker. Yeah, it's a time for the Macho Man. to a Macho Man and take an 82 rated promo. Beautiful. We love promos just like that. That's what we need. And then we have a cage match. Bret Hart and the model Rick Martel in a 73 rated match. Bret Hart defeats Rick Martel. Intercontinental title defense number 6. Again though, that story is not over. That will run for a little bit longer, I feel. Moving on, we have the Macho Man and the Undertaker. 73 rated match. Macho Man defeats the Undertaker. Undertaker was tiring towards the end. That's a bit of a crazy kind of a feeling right there. But there you go. Hulk Hogan cuts a backstage promo about the Royal Rumble. Brother, dude, brother. And he will win the Royal Rumble like only Hulk Hogan can. And Hulkamania's running wild, brother. We then get Money Incorporated defeating the Legion of Doom to win the World Tag Team Championships. I kind of pulled the trigger on this a little early because earlier on in the week, something you didn't see off screen is Hawk showed up to one of the B shows, drunk as heck, and had to go home. I kind of want to make sure that I've got the belts on somebody I'm happy with in case I do need to send him to rehab or something in the future. So, Money Incorporated, they're going to win the Tag Team Championships. And hopefully, we'll get to a place where the Legion of Doom can water rush all over again. We then get the Nature Boy talking about the Royal Rumble and how he's going to become the greatest Royal Rumble winner of all time. And then we have the Royal Rumble itself, the Nature Boy. Ric Flair wins the Royal Rumble. He also sets the record for surviving the longest, because of course he does. We're going back, it's 1992. I'm going to change a lot of things, but I'm not changing this. See the list of people in the match: Ric Flair, Bam Bam Bigelow, the Beverly Brothers, the Big Boss Man, Brian Knobbs, Earthquake, Haku, Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake Roberts, Jerry Saggs, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Jushin Thunder Liger, Marty Jannetty, Nikolai Volkov, because he is on the way out as well, he's leaving tomorrow, Owen Hart, Paul Roma, the Repo Man, both members of the Rock and Roll Express, Sergeant Slaughter, Shawn Michaels, Sid Justice, Tatanka, Terry Funk, the British Bulldog, the Mountie, the Texas Tornado, Tully Blanchard, and Typhoon. Typhoon, however, has sustained a torn rotator cuff. That's not good, because that might put a bit of a damper on that storyline. The Hogan Flair storyline's lost heat, but everything else has gained heat. And I'm gutted because that's only a 69. I needed a better number for that Royal Rumble match. I'm gutted. I can't believe that didn't go well. Like, what happened? I'd have no idea what happened here. But of course, Ric Flair wins. Overall rating of 71. It's not the greatest Royal Rumble of all time now, like some people thought it was. But there we go. And that's the end of this episode too. The Royal Rumble is in the bag, in the books, and we are finished. Ric Flair is the champion. We are now heading to WrestleMania, and of course in the way is the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view starting in 1992. That's what you like to see. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time when we start February.